Birch waits beyond the empire like a graveyard made for mages, a remote summit where every school of sorcery sends its ideas to be judged. For Deculein, the summons means more than reputation. The magic tower has submitted his thesis, and Birch is where that work will be weighed. The magic tower is a given, but the real decisions are made by the factions who gather on the floating island of mages. In the game, Birch was treated as an island of influence, a place that could decide the pillar of the magic world. A mage invited to the Birch summoning assembly gains public proof that the continent recognizes their standing. For ordinary sorcerers, that recognition is almost a lifetime honor. For Deculein, it is also another route filled with death conditions. Even so, the summons has already arrived, and the week of preparation ends at the train station. Before leaving, Deculein raises a protective magic circle around himself, treating the journey as a battlefield before he ever sees the train. Mana gathers over him in cold blue lines, because a trip to Bercht can become a murder route without warning. The place is also called a mage grave, and that name is enough to make every peaceful detail feel like bait. At the station platform, the Bercht train waits under glass and iron while nobles, escorts, and servants move around it. Julie appears in the crowd with a controlled smile, the assigned guard Deculein did not expect to see.
You have prepared thoroughly. Of course, do not worry.
Her arrival unsettles the escort team because the Freyhem officers know exactly who she is and what standing she carries.
Thank you for coming all this way.
Starting from this station, through the order of Freyhem, I will be responsible for guarding the first half of the train.
We will do our utmost to guard you and ensure you have a comfortable trip.
Julie tries to sound professional, but the pressure of smiling beside Deculein clearly pushes her past comfort.
Why do I have to do things like this?
Deculein sees the performance for what it is. Julie is overworking herself to honor a duty she did not choose freely.
Why do I have to go through this?
The Freyhem captain promises Julie that Deculein will be kept safe under his watch. Julie answers with formal restraint. The guard duty is hers this time, and the others came only to honor the assignment.
The two of them only came to show respect after assigning me this important duty.
This bear has already been recognized by our whole order, so you have no need to worry, Professor.
The captain reduces the matter to a simple verdict. The assigned guard is skilled enough to trust.
Just in case I should check the train interior. I do not sense any special threat from him. Am I just overthinking?
Most mages travel with an escort, so the guard assignment is normal on paper even if Deculein hates relying on it.
Will this trip be safe? I shall take charge of the cabin. You will be in my care.
The group boards, and the station noise stretches behind them as the Bercht train prepares to leave. Julie stays close, watching the platform and Deculein with the same tense professionalism. A small stumble in the crowd pulls the escort formation out of its clean rhythm. Julie reacts immediately, her hand and body turning before the danger is even clear. A Freyhem officer calls out when Julie reacts too quickly to the movement on the platform.
Enough.
Deculein stops the overreaction before it turns into a scene, but his mind keeps marking every odd movement around the train. The train finally pulls out, carrying Deculein, Julie, and the escort toward the north. Several hours later, the calm inside the carriage feels too neat for a route that once killed mages without warning.
You can sleep if you want. We have several more hours ahead of us.
The answer is just as casual, a tired acceptance that makes the cabin feel ordinary for one last moment. The wheels beat against the track, and the ordinary rhythm lets the threat hide in plain sight. One young passenger bows her head to rest, unaware that Deculein is still treating the cabin like a trap. Birch promises a simple destination on paper: reach the mage grave, attend the summons, and return with prestige. But in the original route, conditions could twist the train into a death trap before anyone reached the island. Taking the safer path would mean avoiding Birch entirely, but Deculein no longer has that option. Then another route strikes first, attacking the train through a dark connection and throwing the carriage into panic. Flames and smoke rip through the cars, turning a prestigious journey into the exact event Deculein prepared for. A blast hits the side of the train, and the line between accident and assassination disappears. Deculein expected an attack, but knowing a route exists is not the same as knowing when the carriage will burn. He had made several preparations to protect himself, including magical defenses and materials for an emergency. Still, the situation is not simple. He has authority as a professor, but no command over the train itself.
But how unexpected. I do not think this came with Ephraim wounded. How dangerous is it?
The thought cuts deeper than the explosion, because this danger may be more ambitious than the event he remembers. The train lurches, and Deculein moves before panic spreads through the carriage. Metal screams under the wheels as the attack pushes the train toward disaster. From above, the train becomes a thin line of smoke and sparks crossing the white wilderness. Inside, Deculein judges the route by station distance, timing, and the people still alive around him.
Now the only station left is Bercht. Nothing has happened so far. Did I pick the right train?
Then the corridor shakes again, proving that his calm window has already closed. Deculein keeps moving past the shaken passengers because freezing in the cabin would only hand the route another opening. He reaches the staff area and confirms the core problem. Without control of the train, even perfect preparation cannot protect every carriage.
I even applied it to Alan's clothes. Even if there are reports, no one can act faster than the attack itself.
The route refuses to give him a clean answer. It only gives him smoke, impact, and one more decision to make.
Phew, I hope things continue peacefully like this.
That hope barely lasts. Another vibration rolls through the train and the carriage answers with screams and racing footsteps. Outside, the train cuts through the mountain cold, smoke trailing behind it like a warning flag. Something strikes near the cars with enough force to throw sparks across the dark metal. A final burst slams into the train and Deculein's guarded journey to Bercht becomes an open survival route. The attack train races through the snowy mountains, but the danger began before the explosion, in the politics of who was summoned to Bercht.
Do they give out a lot of assignments at the Magic Tower?
In a private room, a young mage hears that there are many assignments, but only a few classes that matter at the top. Her father speaks as if the future Archmage title is already waiting, while she worries about how much work she must do to reach it. Sylvia admits she is not worried about Ephraim. What she really wants is more of Deculein's lessons. Sylvia asks why they left for Bercht so early, certain they could have waited several more days. Her father does not answer immediately, and that silence makes the peaceful room feel less like a family trip. The truth behind Bercht is darker than ordinary students realize. The summons is not just an honor for mages.
It is not?
Whenever Bercht summons mages, a few always lose their lives before the assembly is done. 15 years ago, 11 summoned mages died, and the families of the dead could not simply erase that from memory. Those families swore to protect the mages who still existed, even if it meant hunting the ones who tried to rise above them. But the families who were summoned and unable to attend were removed from the register, as if Bercht itself could decide who was allowed to remain. That is why some people see the trip to Bercht as a way to cut down the mages who want to become top sorcerers.
What do you think is an easy way to drag those prestigious families down?
The answer is cruelly simple: make the journey itself deadly, then call the result a natural disaster of magic. The trip to Bercht is a way to send ice where those who want to become top sorcerers are gathered. Sylvia finally understands that Deculein is not merely traveling to a conference. He is riding into a selection ground. Leaving early is the only way to avoid being trapped on the rails with everyone else who misses the warning. For Deculein, reaching Bercht means surviving a magical natural death disguised as fate. Back on the train, passengers are scattered by the impact as the attack tears through the carriage.
If the train operator has to move after the transmission, someone needs to respond to the report. Death on the way to the assembly is basically like a magical natural death.
This is the murder route. Kill them before Bercht, and the world can pretend the assembly merely consumed another mage. Wounded passengers and escorts struggle to keep their balance as the carriage lurches again. Something slams into the outside of the train, carving heat and force across the cars. The next impact punches through the route like a warning that the attackers are no longer testing the train. A fresh impact rolls down the cars, shaking the damaged train while Deculein keeps searching for the attack condition. Deculein opens his eyes in the shaken carriage, calm enough to measure the situation while others panic. Mana answers before the attackers can press their advantage. Blue light floods the train as Deculein uses telekinesis at a level the attackers did not plan for. A young passenger stares at the magic, caught between fear of the attack and awe at Deculein's response.
What is this? The train is in midair.
The entire train lifts, and for one impossible moment the disaster hangs above the mountain line instead of crashing through it. Outside, broken cars, smoke, and attackers are pulled into the same impossible field of force.
What a relief.
The elementary telekinesis he prepared holds the crisis together long enough for him to identify the enemy pattern. Deculein steps forward, and the attackers finally realize their surprise has been answered by preparation. The masked attackers mock the situation anyway, believing that surviving the first move only increases their reward.
It is surprising, but we have expected this much. If we succeed, we will be properly rewarded.
One attacker bursts through the broken wall, trying to turn Deculein's suspended train into close combat. Another launches across the carriage, moving faster than the passengers can even process. The attack comes from several angles, but Deculein's field keeps the battlefield from collapsing. He watches them with the same contempt he gives bad calculations.
Morons.
The train groans under blue light while Deculein keeps the cars from becoming a graveyard.
Unfortunately for you, I have already expected this much.
Mana surges through the ruined carriage, turning the attacker's ambush into Deculein's trap. A panicked voice shouts that the train is under attack, but Deculein is already moving through the chaos. Passengers recoil while Alan stays low, and Deculein keeps the order of the fight in his head. Deculein gives the frightened group just enough room to breathe and just enough force to keep the attackers back.
Rest for a bit, Alan.
Veron is ordered to move Alan to safety and evacuate the passengers in the other rooms. Outside, an attacker is thrown from the train, proof that Deculein is not only defending but removing threats. At the broken doorway, Deculein holds the train and the enemy apart with cold precision.
That impact felt too soft for a simple collision.
The sensation gives him more data. This enemy is not simply hitting the train with brute force.
Perhaps.
You guys started this, so you must be aware, right?
W40 ten Sunday Frey.
The assassins kneel and shift around him, trying to turn the floating train into a ritual execution. Deculein drops another attacker with restrained force, never wasting motion on panic. Julie reaches the stairs with a wounded passenger, still guarding the evacuation while Deculein holds the center. The train hangs in the air again, proof that his telekinesis is still buying time. Another body falls, and the attacker's confidence begins to break apart.
That was more exhausting than I expected.
Deculein recognizes the enemy as someone who has devoted her whole life to killing him. Her gaze is different from before, red and fixed on him like the root has finally put a face on Villain's fate.
He moved everyone to the passenger side. Good, now I can focus on the enemy in front of me.
Deculein realizes the attacker has also been hit from the rear, meaning the ambush has surprised more than one side. The attacker studies Deculein from the smoke, her hatred no longer hidden behind the ambush.
Well, I was also taken aback from the attack, so he must also be surprised.
Red mana rises behind the woman, and the shape of the danger finally matches the name Deculein fears.
Villain's fate.
I hate to kill you myself.
But hatred makes her careless. For one instant she lowers her guard in front of the person she came to kill. Deculein fires the counter through the opening her hatred created.
Good. You survived long enough to answer me.
Her hatred circles back to the same refusal. If Deculein survives, she believes Julie will keep suffering. The red fate threat remains standing in the wreckage, and Deculein faces a direct duel with someone built to kill him.
A loss of D8 evacuated the other passengers.
So it is now your turn to die.
Deculein does not answer the hatred with panic. He first tests whether someone else is ordering her to kill him.
Is it Julie?
Her accusation drags Julie, his sister, and a murdered family into the same wound, but none of it gives Deculein a clean answer.
Julian will die by my hand for master.
This seems unrelated to Julie seeing his reaction.
Passengers huddle behind the fight, and Deculein recognizes that someone in the Order must still be connected to this attack.
I have 10 mana left. Can I defeat someone considered talented even among the Order of Freehim in my current state?
Then my guard duty ends here.
She rushes him before he can recover, turning every remaining scrap of mana into a life or death calculation. Deculein tries to hold her with force, but the pressure on his body and spell work is already fraying. The fight tears through the carriage, and even the attackers hesitate when Deculein still does not fall.
Telekinesis. Cancel.
The suspended train settles through steam and snow, spared from crashing to the ground by the last controlled release of his spell. Away from the train, Sylvia's story moves into a quiet estate where old grief still shapes her magic.
Would you like some wine, my lady?
Everyone is here other than Deculein and Rewen. Is there someone you are waiting for?
Sylvia answers no, but the hesitation says the denial is not clean.
I will be off then. Call me if you need anything.
Sylvia whispers Deculein's name after Sirio leaves, proving the person she denies waiting for is still the one on her mind.
I did not mean to see him.
At her mother's grave, Sylvia carries flowers instead of answers. The name on the stone belongs to Cecilia von Elien Ilie, the proud mage Glitterhorn's wife and Sylvia's mother.
How have you been, Mom?
She tells the grave about Deculein's assignment, annoyed that his lecture still occupies so much of her attention.
What is that sound?
A faint disturbance reaches her through the quiet, pulling her attention away from the grave. For a moment, shock breaks through Sylvia's guarded face. In memory, Deculein's noble posture remains intact even when his back is turned and his past is full of damage. Sylvia remembers being unable to communicate with Deculein before, and the frustration still stains the memory.
Just why is he at a place like this? I do not think of him as someone who would miss a chance to be admired.
She follows the thought anyway because curiosity and concern move faster than pride. Deculein's profile returns in her mind, older, haughty, and still trying in ways she cannot easily explain. He was always cold and distant, but he was trying, and that contradiction refuses to leave her alone. The thought lands like water breaking a still surface. Those tears, like shooting stars, keep plaguing Sylvia's mind. She presses her hands together, bothered that Deculein's lesson can still move her after everything she knows about him. A memory of an older mage frames the question whether magic is only technique or something that can carry emotion.
It is bothering me.
After hearing Deculein's lecture, Sylvia realizes there may be something she wants to try herself. She gathers a mana stone as a medium, wondering whether the idea Deculein described can be made real through her own magic. It may be possible because magic has origins, and those origins decide the shape of what a mage can create. Sylvia's magic is made from the 3 primary colors, a foundation that lets her treat creation itself as a palette. Light gathers around the stone and answers her will.
I did it.
The magic condenses into a small living shape, bright and fragile in her hands. She watches the new life spark from the mana stone and begin to move. The little bird takes shape in the light, carrying Sylvia's color and curiosity with it.
From now on, your name is Swift.
The name gives the creation purpose, and the bird answers with motion.
Fly.
Swift launches upward, a tiny scout born from Sylvia's first successful creation.
Fly, and show me what you see.
Through Swift's eyes, the distant train becomes visible again, still surrounded by smoke and danger. Deculein coughs through the strain, his body paying for the spell that kept the train from falling.
The train was lifted to the sky and did not fall to the ground. Though I think I have a few broken bones, I will recover soon thanks to Iron Man.
The red attacker returns before his recovery can matter. Her strike tears through the air toward Deculein before he can fully reset his stance. The blow carves the space near him, close enough to show how little room he has left. Deculein grimaces, still alive but pushed to the edge of what his body can endure. Blue light gathers around his arm as he forces another defense into place. Another clash of red and blue power shakes the carriage. The attacker mocks the idea of protection, as if Deculein guarding anyone only makes him more absurd.
You sure are persistent.
Her blade hammers into the defense, red force scraping against Deculein's fading blue light. Another slash drives through the carriage, and Deculein has to spend strength he barely has. He is thrown back by the pressure, but his expression says he has not surrendered the root.
He is strong.
Even with a famous protective trait, he has to admit the assassin is not an ordinary killer. But Deculein's rare trait, resolute, refuses to let his mind bend under pain or fear. Even if one breaks, Resolute lets him keep acting as long as his will remains intact.
I will never bend in a situation like this.
The assassin closes again, but Deculein meets the approach with sharpened focus instead of panic. Her weapon flashes in the dark, pushing him toward the edge of the root. Deculein's eyes narrow. He knows one direct hit from this sword may end the game. Blue force bursts from him again, buying a breath that may be his last clean opening.
Not good.
The strike cuts close enough to mark him, and the root threatens to close around him. Deculein pulls himself upright in the smoke, refusing to let the wound decide the fight.
If I get hit by this sword, the game ends, like nothing happened. Will I open my eyes in the office again?
If not, then every choice left in this frozen carriage has to be made before the next strike lands. Blood cuts across the carriage as the red root keeps pressing for Deculein's death. Blue light flickers against the smoke, the last sign that Deculein is still fighting the root. The train lies half buried in snow and smoke while Deculein's survival hangs on the next move. The red attacker presses forward, and Deculein's last safe distance disappears inside the wrecked carriage. He turns toward the threat, forced to read the route with almost no time left.
Such a warning.
The next strike makes the danger unmistakable.
What is this warning?
Blood hits the floor, and the fight leaves no room for elegant theory. The attacker cuts through his defense with vicious speed. Deculein is driven back across the carriage, but he keeps his eyes on her hands and timing. A red charge gathers in her palm, the kind of attack that can turn one opening into death.
Unimaginable.
I do not know what just happened, but this is my chance.
He uses the opening instantly, refusing to let surprise become hesitation. The carriage erupts again as blue and red force collide. Deculein presses in with the little power he has left, gambling that the warning means her pattern can be broken. The attacker is knocked back against the damaged train, still burning with hatred. Deculein's hand tightens, but his body is almost at its limit. Cold air and torn metal surround the train, held together by scraps of magic and will. The blade comes up again, and the fight refuses to end cleanly. Deculein steadies himself in front of the wrecked train, refusing to let the fight reset on her terms. The red attacker hangs above him, caught between killing intent and shock.
So what did you just do?
I do not know either. More importantly, why are you trying to kill me?
Deculein presses the question instead of chasing the shock, because her reason matters as much as her blade.
Are you really saying this is for Julie's sake?
The name stops the argument from being abstract. Whatever she wants, Julie sits at the center of it. Deculein recognizes that this is not a random murderer. Her pain has a specific shape, and Julie is inside it. Deculein would never understand her grief, because the wound began in a place where he was only the villain at a distance. In the past, Julie saved the young woman and treated the rescue as ordinary duty instead of charity.
Of course. I just did my duty as a knight.
The rescued girl trembled with rage and fear, insisting that someone else had started the violence.
Do you know how kind my Jason is? I am sure you did something.
The old woman answers before the girl can calm down, turning the rescue into a public accusation.
Oh, have you still not learned your lesson?
She threatens the police and tries to make the weaker side beg for forgiveness.
You hit my child, and now you are charged for assault as well as trespassing.
The accusation expands into assault and trespassing, exactly the kind of status-backed pressure Julie refuses to accept blindly.
Did you say he trespassed?
Julie studies the household gate and the story around it, refusing to let status decide the truth. The old woman tries to drag the child to the police, But Julie keeps the scene from becoming another abuse of power. The rescued girl cannot believe a noble knight is actually listening.
The Bercht household is famous for their behavior. I am sure you are spreading whatever you can partly. It is not partly. You still should not hit people.
Julie's correction is firm, but it does not erase the fact that she chose to stand beside the powerless first. The memory follows the girl down the path, away from a punishment that could have swallowed her future. Even years later, that kindness remains bright enough to hurt.
I will follow the ill teacher who wants to control magic. What will you do?
The girl looks at Julie as if a life has been handed back to her.
You are doing well, right?
The memory cuts away before the gratitude can settle, returning to the violence that grew from it. Julie was the only person who took care of the girl, the only authority figure who did not crush her for being poor and angry.
Varen, are you having a hard time with my method?
She reassures him, but the memory makes clear that her calm was built from Julie's protection. She always helped others, even when the world made that help costly. To the red attacker, Julie's kindness was not an abstract virtue, it was survival. Julie negotiated within injustice instead of pretending it did not exist, and that made the girl's respect harden into devotion. Back on the train, that devotion becomes murder. The red attacker's love for Julie is tangled with pain, gratitude, and a need to punish the man she thinks ruined everything.
We know my emotions are a burden to her. However, I have to kill you.
He is right. The reason must be Julie.
However, you are wrong.
She insists she can change what Deculein has done, but the vow is already turning Julie's kindness into destruction.
Yeah, we'll make sure the memories end in destructions.
Deculein reaches for her head, not with tenderness, but with a decision that cuts through the hatred.
I will not harm Julie, no matter what.
She falters under the statement, because the promise cuts into the very reason she came to kill him.
Trust me.
Deculein drops low, placing himself where one more mistake could still cost him the fight. The red attacker realizes too late that his calm is another trap. The promise shakes her, but hatred is still the only language she knows how to use.
Nien send to change your pain.
She refuses to abandon the plan, even when the plan has already become another wound for Julie. Deculein catches her hand and calls out the weakness in her choice.
You fool, your foolish choice today will torment Julie forever.
He raises his hand over the broken carriage, turning the last exchange into judgment instead of another clash. The force drops, and the red attacker finally loses the rhythm of the fight. Outside the wreck, Julie senses something is wrong and asks after her captain.
Are you feeling unwell?
It is nothing.
Julie notices the unease and gently asks whether he is worried about Vera again.
He can take care of himself.
Julie accepts it with a small laugh, unaware of how close that worry is to the fight unfolding elsewhere. Tears fall through the dark as the red attacker's hatred finally breaks apart.
Iorna.
She falls through red light, still clinging to the person whose happiness she wanted to protect.
Medievalness.